Okay, so my name is Febe Adedamola. I'm an audio engineer and I'm also a production manager. I work with Aziza Productions. For a lot of you who know Aziza Productions, an audio-visual company that does a lot of concept production. And I'm just here to ensure that you guys can, especially those of you who are live sound engineers who are just new to this, can begin to navigate your way properly and experience and get all the things you need to get as soon as possible. So I hope you guys are staying safe, staying home, and you're learning with me. And today we're going to be doing basically EQ basics for live sound. Grab your pen and paper so that at the end of so that you can jot down questions at the end that you might have during the course of the webinar, so that at the end we can all go through the questions and we can all get to see each other. All right, so we're going to go straight into what EQ is used for. Okay, so the topics that we're going to majorly cover today, I'm going to be as fast as possible because I have only like 20-30 minutes to spend with you guys. Okay, so we're going to be doing what EQ is used for, how and when to apply EQ, basic EQ applications in live sound situations, and how to EQ your drums. Okay, so that's about it. EQ drums and vocals. I'm just going to be as fast as possible so you guys can understand. But first off, for everyone, what is EQ used for? Majorly in live sound, EQ is just used to create a better and clearer live sound experience. Majorly just to adjust and balance audio frequencies. Like, the major thing EQ is used for is to take out unwanted frequencies, unwanted sibilants, unwanted noises, and give a boost to the wanted frequencies to give room for a clearer and cleaner signal coming through your systems. So that's basically what EQ is being used for. But then again, just understanding what EQ is being used for doesn't mean that you know how to use it. So that's the basics. That's the reason why we are doing this webinar. All right. So you need to understand how it works. So before we go into how it works, I'm going to just share the type of EQs. A lot of you might probably have seen some of these EQs before. If you know you've seen any of this EQ, just comment in the chat box to let me know which of this EQ you're familiar with. We have the filters, we have the graphic EQ, and also we have parametric EQ. We have parametric EQ. We have other ones that we have. We have the linear phase EQ, dynamic equalizers, passive EQ. All those ones are not needed. We're not going to go into that. But for this webinar, for the purpose of this webinar, we're going to be dealing with the first three that you can see: filters, graphic equalizers, and parametric EQ. Okay, talking about filters. All right, so filters are basic. They're basically building blocks for any signal processing that you want to do. So not to bore you with the details, a lot of you have heard of low cut, high pass filters, low pass filter. If you've heard about that before, you can just say yes in the comments, so I know that you guys are following me. So we have filters. These filters are used to take out unwanted materials, unwanted sound frequencies. So that means that if you apply a high pass filter to like a mic, let's take for example a mic, you're taking out the ambient noise, you're taking out air conditioned noise, all the rumbles, all the low end frequencies that can cause feedback and like a boom, and that can make the sound very unclear. So filters are actually the first point of call in treating your sound signal when processing your sound signal. All right, so going on to the graphic EQ. A lot of you might have seen a graphic EQ before. If I'm going to actually say like a board that looks like this, let me see if on any of the, I have anything that looks like head. Just a moment, guys. How many of you have seen something like, all right, so this is like a representation of the graphic EQ. Majorly, we have different types of, they come in different sizes. The graphic EQ, great. Thank you, Praise. Thank you, Albert. Thank you, everyone. All right, so they come in different sizes, but the most frequent one that is being used in live sound is the 31 band EQ, graphic EQ. All right, so the graphic equalizers are majorly used to treat specific frequency range to cut them out of the mix. Most of the time, they are used to treat your output speakers, PA systems. They're used to treat to ring out a PA system in a room to ensure that you're taking out feedback, taking out where possible feedback can come from. So they treat specific range of frequencies, and they don't have very much options. That's basically what they are being used for, and that's it. So if you want to ring out your monitors, you ring out your wedges, that's what you use. So going back to the last one on the list, in live sound, parametric EQ is one of the most widely used in live sound, basically because it has more flexibility, more controls for frequency, gain, and bandwidth. So I'm going to come to all the parameters that are involved in the EQ. So please, if you all can hear me, please just put in the comments that you can hear me and you are catching on with what I am saying. Okay, so the parametric EQ gives you more flexibility, dedicated controls for your frequency range, your bandwidth and all, and it has more frequency bands. So if you look at the picture of what I am showing you now, this is a picture of an example of a parametric EQ on the Midas M32, on Behringer X32 board, and almost the same thing on the Midas M32 board, because they are almost of the same range. So that's it. It has more frequency bands, that's like the low. You can treat the low with various controls, low, mid, high, mid, and also the higher frequencies. All right, so that's basically what all these are being used for. And in EQ, we have different bands, okay, different frequency range that you probably see. So let's move on to the next page. So you can see this EQ parameters now. Yeah, this is the functions. When you want to start using your EQ, these are the things you should look out for in your EQ. Frequency is to show you the audio spectrum, right? From the low to the high spectrum of a particular signal. So from the low to the low mid, then probably the mid and the high mid and high. All right, so the frequency band ranges that is audible, the audio frequency band that is audible to the human ears is from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. Anything above or below that, we definitely can't hear it, because we're only animals, and probably babies can even hear anything from above 10K and 18K, because that's like all we can do at the moment is just maybe probably feel or sense it. I don't know how that works, but definitely that's what we can hear. So now gain. Gain is more like a control that helps you boost or reduce a particular frequency on the spectrum. So gain is to help you give in more energy to a particular frequency range or reduce the energy of that particular frequency range, and it is measured in dB. Then all right, so now we're talking about the bandwidth. Like it's the bandwidth helps you to treat frequency from a particular range to another range. Let's say for instance, you want to treat a low mid range, and you want it to capture like a large number of frequency, which is 200 to like 500. You can apply the Q and maybe reduce it so that it can give you a wider spectrum. Or if you just want to treat a particular frequency, you can just increase the bandwidth, the Q, and it drops the spectrum for you so that you can treat that particular frequency. So that's what the Q is for. Okay, so the EQ is basically being used for, it's like the top of the things you use in shaping live sound. So if you want to do any signal processing, the first thing you probably want to do after setting your gain is to go to the frequency, is to go to the EQ and begin to treat the frequency to ensure that you have, okay, so EQ tops the list in creative tools to help you shape your sound. So that's basically what EQ. So now moving on to more practical steps. How and when should you apply EQ? Okay, so you have, first things first, you need to know the basic rules. All you really want to do with EQ is to be able to hear a frequency that you like or don't like, and be able to identify where the range falls and what you want to drop and what you want to boost. So if you can do that, you are ready to up your game as a live sound engineer. So looking at these frequencies, you can see all these frequencies here. If you can see my screen, please let me know that you're seeing my screen. If you can, let me know you can't. All right, so you have all those frequencies there. So we have a very, very important rule that I'm going to give to you guys, which is the KISS rule. Please, if you can put it in the comments, put KISS in the comments, guys. It is very simple. Please keep it simply simple. A lot of people try to treat everything in the EQ. A lot of things, apart from EQing, is just a process to help you clean up your sound. But there are other things you need to do to ensure that you have a better sound production. Because if your cables are bad, your speaker is bad, forget it, there's nothing you can do with the EQ. The EQ will you just keep messing up your... So keep it simply simple. That's the KISS rule. Keep it simply simple. And then other rules, don't overdo it. Just take out the unwanted frequencies, okay? Take out the unwanted frequencies to allow for the wanted frequencies that you want. You know the rule. Cut more and boost less. Like, it's better to cut than to boost. You know that rule. So then again, there are other rules that you need to, so clear the way, especially for instruments, vocals. There is nothing below 40 Hz. You need to roll off. Add your high pass filter, except for your kick drums, some of your bass, some of those basic sounding instruments, like your subwoofers. That's the only place where you need your low end. So to clean up your sound more, you need to roll off your low end. And then again, there's one thing you need to understand: trust your ears. Okay, so I'll be going into a practical session now, so you guys can see how to really do this. So EQ actions, now that you're comfortable with what EQ is being used for, let's now show how to best use them. The famous questions you see in EQ drums most of the time is, how do you create a solid low frequency? So how to create a powerful and natural drum sound. Okay. Okay, so I'm using a live recording of that I did. So I hope you guys can see it. When you're dealing with the drums, all right, so you want to try as much as possible to rock the low end, right? Because your bass drum and your bass drum, kick drum majorly, is the ones that actually rock your sub most of the time. All right, in live sound. So you want to clear every other instrument away, except for the bass also, because like most of the time, the kick drum is between the range of 40 to 60 hertz. That's where the power is. So I'll try as much as possible to just play and select the kick drum while I'm playing this, so you guys can see what I mean. Can you see where the boost of the frequency energy is coming from? Oh, sorry. Okay, I have to switch my screen. If you see where the frequency, I've selected the kick. You can see where the energy is most present. I hope you guys can see where this energy is most present for the kick in and kick out. All right. Can you guys see this? Oh, great. So you want to give room to that low end, right? You want to give room to that particular end of that frequency, right? You want to give room to that part. So what you do most of the time, if you look at this EQ curve that I have here, what I want to do is come to where my EQ parameters are and start with the low cut, okay? You can see that from this, I cut to about maybe like 40 or 45 to take out the unwanted sound. All right, I cut that range. Okay, so then I come to my low. Yeah. All right, so you want to come to your low end and roll off to about 30 to 40 hertz. Then around 300 hertz, you want to get rid of a lot of boxiness. Like I showed you in the former issue that I was showing you guys, somewhere around here, you want to take out some of the boxiness around 100, 200 to 600. Here I did a wide Q for about from around 195 to around 400 or 300. So you can see to cut out that meat that is not making your kick very punchy. So if I engage this EQ for this kick now, you hear the difference. You can see that it has tidied up the meat, has making my drums much more tighter and much more better. Okay, I hope you guys are here. Please let me know if you're here with me. Okay, great. So I'm trying to move in between screens, but it's probably not so easy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to record what I was doing on the EQ and send to you guys. Like I'm going to do a proper recording of me treating some EQ points and send it to you guys so you guys can hear the recording. But now let's just go through the slides I have. All right, so for your snare, you want to roll off the frequency, like use the high pass frequency till about 80 to 100 hertz, because during that part, that's where you have the rumbles and all, and you need to take out all those rumbles. Then you now come to around your, can you all see my screen? Okay, so you now come to around, you cut the low mid, because most of the time the low mid is where the muffled sound. When people tell you, oh, I'm having a muffled sound, you want to come and treat somewhere around the low mid, which is somewhere between 200 to 600 hertz or 300 to 600 hertz. All right, so you want to use a very wired cue to be able to take out some of the frequencies and don't overcut. All right, so coming to the snare, you can see that most of the time, depending on the kind of snare you're using, sometimes you might not even need to take out too much of the lows. Then hi-hats, definitely, please, for your hi-hats, it's only the high frequency that you really want to hear, and clarity and that openness. It's between, like from what I said, it's between this 6K to 12K hertz. So what you want to do for the hi-hat is to roll off the low end to about 300 to 400, like a deep cut. And then your low mid to about 400 to 600. On the low mid, you can just do a deep cut on the low mid also. And also that it gives clarity to the sound at the end of the day. So if you can hear the hi-hats, so you can hear that, you can see how tight my snare drums are, and I'm taking out a lot of things. EQ tips for the toms. The toms also have low ends that you need to give room to, but their low ends doesn't start from until about 70 or 60 to 100 hertz. Like you have to roll off till about 50 so that you can give room to the low and then come to the low mids and cut. Then you have to boost somewhere around the low, using the low frequency to boost. Like you can see this, you cut down the low mid and then give room for just the somewhere in between, give room for somewhere in between 100 hertz to about 250 or 300 hertz. Okay, so that you can have that fun. Then you can add a little bit of high shelf. Then most of the time, don't solo out your drums like kick and EQing the kicks alone, because this is a drum set. You want to listen to the overall drums and just look around the frequency and check which one might be where the problem is. All right, so now let's go to vocals, right? Most of the time in your vocals, please roll off this also applies to people who mix on their computers too. Maybe you're mixing with a DAW, like Logic, FL, whatever mixing tool you have. It's almost the same rule, but for live sound experience, you don't want to overcut or overdo it to the extent that you lose the natural sound of that particular sound. All right, so what you want to do for most vocals, a lot of vocals, there's nothing, you have to start rolling up from 70 to 200. The major thing about working on EQ is to trust your ears. There is no amount of cheat sheets or frequency charts that you might see that would take out the importance of practicing and actually listening with your ears. Okay, so going back to EQing vocals, use your high-pass filter, roll off your low end to about 70, 100, in fact 150. For some female vocalists, you can roll off to about 150, because most of the time that's where the noise of the sound, different noise of the kick and everything is coming into, and you want a clearer signal coming from the singer. So you can see whatever sounds muddy, if the mic is sounding a bit boxy or muddy, come to the low mid and try and sweep around and treat the gain till you hear what you really want you to use, hear that it's much more brighter. And then come to low pass frequency, let me put it that way, eye cut, for those who understand, who see it that way, and or just go to your eye and roll off from 20 Hz to about 18 or 10K Hz, which is 10,000 Hertz. Roll that off, because you don't want, that's where you have your feedback, your squeal noise, and you know, those screeching noise that comes out of your mic. And also other things are very important when EQing and when doing a lot of EQ. There are other things to consider before starting to EQ. Ensure that you have placed your mic well. Ensure that your setup is properly okay. No noise coming from your cable. Your cables are good. Your systems are balanced, and you've optimized your sound, your PA system. Ensure that the mic, you're using the right mic for the right equipment. The main thing you need to understand is to ensure that you are listening to the room, listening to each instrument. You know what good music sound like. A lot of you listen to music a lot. So if it sounds good to you, it probably sounds good to everyone in the room. Okay, so don't be scared to listen and adjust and ensure that things work. Just understand the fundamentals. That's the basic thing you really need to understand. Next up is, I'm just going to share some few advice for when you're EQing, and I'll come back to all of your questions. So please, you can start dropping your questions now so that I can go back to them. How to up your EQ game. All right, so these are the basic things that you can do. Practice, practice, practice. Okay, so the step is, for practicing, do a live recording of, just do a recording, a multi-track recording of your service. If you don't know how to do that, I'm going to be doing tutorials very soon on my Instagram and on my YouTube channel, so you guys can check out some of these tutorials. Put in your questions. So if I can't answer all the questions here, I'll probably do tutorials that you can go and watch later. Take a multi-track recording, replay it from your system, and try and do a virtual mixing on your mixing board. This is available for digital boards, so I'm sorry for those who are using analog boards, that it doesn't give you that option, but you can use your laptop, use your DAW to practice, so that you can have an idea of how a good signal is supposed to sound like, a good kick drum is supposed to sound like, how a good vocal is supposed to sound like. So you can do some testing and you can understand all these things. Then again, you have to prepare and plan before the show. Most of the time when you're doing live sound, because it's spontaneous, you can't be waiting till the show is starting or till the singer climbs on stage before you start EQing. You don't have that time. I'm serious. A lot of people do that thing, and I'm like, yo, you guys are just, you're making people feel. That's when people begin to tell you that you're not as professional as possible. The first thing you can do, prepare. In fact, if you have access to the hall a month before, or for those of you who work in church, you will have access to your church hall every week. Dedicate one day. It could be Saturday before rehearsals. Go very early, sit down with your mates, balance everything to your own taste. do your EQs, do your basic EQs, so that by the time the band comes to sound check is very, very important. All you need to do is to tweak. So those are basically the things that you need to do. And other things that you probably want to take note of is that nothing will replace the time you spend in front of your monitors, actually mixing and listening with your ears. You have to get accustomed to your speakers, get accustomed to your board, practice with your board. I've already said this. Then again, every song, every scenario, every mix, every room is different. Like what you did yesterday might not work for what you're going to do today. What you did in a venue, in one church, might not work in another church. But the point is, the fundamental principles are the same everywhere. You know that you're supposed to apply your high pass filter, which is your low cut, roll off the low end on vocals, on some instruments, some of your instruments that don't have big presence in the low ends, and you know, to give room for your kick and every other thing. You know that you're supposed to cut off when you're having feedback or sibilance, like something is coming back or giving you some kind of sharp or harsh noise. You know that you have to go to your high to cut off, to look for the frequency and cut it off. Listen more with your ears, listen to music, listen to the music actively. Practice with listening and hear, oh, how does this kick sound like? What does this person do? Or some songs, most of the rock songs, the kick drum is always, especially in Nigeria, we love to have our kick drums tight and the attack to be very sharp. So you know that if, like, when the drum goes through your subwoofers, you want people to feel the attack. So you can begin to practice, or what are the things you can do to create that attack. Give room to the low end, remove the low mid or the high mid, the mid frequencies, drop them so that you can give room and boost that low frequency. For analog mixing, guys, you guys can just go with the fundamental principles and listen with your ears. If it sounds good to you, it's probably good. But for you to know that something sounds good means that you have listened to so many things, you've gotten accustomed to the sound that you already can tell what is bad and what is good. For you to up your EQ game and your live sound game, you can actually sign up for my course, my starter course. If you would love to learn more about live sound, please sign up for my live sound starter course. It's a 4-week course, like a basic diploma course. And this is what you will learn. You will learn live sound processes, live sound connections and concepts, live sound setting up processes. You will learn mixing processes, how to do monitor, how to do FOH, how to do line check, how to do sound check, how to gain stage, recording your tracks, multi-track or even stereo, even on an analog board, how you can record out through an analog board. And these are some of the people that have joined my class, and these are some of the things they've said. Then again, okay, so this is the price for my starter course. This is something that you won't get anywhere else, right? So I have the Bumble Pass, which gives you 3 months access to all class videos and PDFs, access to a 15 minutes coaching session at the end of the 3rd week, or probably 1 hour coaching session at the end of the 3rd week. And you have access to the class videos and PDF. And this Bumble Pass goes for $5,000. But for the Prime Pass, you have access to my videos, PDFs, you have access to checklists, the riders I use, my processes, and also you have access to a weekly coaching session, 1 hour weekly coaching session at the end of each week. All right, so if you are like, oh, I'm a sound engineer, I'm already I'm into it, so why do I need the live sound course? So these are the people that need it. If you're just starting out, if you're a budding engineer, that you're ready to up your game. If you're a band manager or a band director for your church, you need to understand all these things. If you can't get your sound engineer to sign up for the course, then also church sound volunteer team. So now it's Q&A time, guys. Now, all right. So let's go back to the first question. I have a question from Daniel. He said, "How about using EQ on an analog console?" Like I explained before, on the analog console, you only have access to very semi-parametric EQ, or let's say, parametric EQ that is just all passive. So you have knobs for the frequency and also for the gain. So what you want to do is to go to the specific frequency you want to treat and either boost or cut it. So what you want to do is follow the fundamental principles I've shared in this in this webinar, and just try to EQ your drums and just listen. Ensure that you're listening. If it's sounding boxy, you can go to the mid and take out some of the frequency, give room for the low, take out some of the like vocals away from the major low end, like anything from 70 hertz downward, anything from 20 to 70 hertz, you need to take that out, roll it off. So that's what you can apply the high pass filter first before EQing. So now let me go to the next question. I hope if you have any other question, please keep putting it in the comments, and for the next 5 minutes we'll do the questions. Okay, so please help explain what the HPF and LPF really mean and how they can relate to low cut and high cut. All right, high pass filter is also known as low cut. So high pass, it means that you are allowing only high frequency to pass. It's very simple English, allowing only the high frequency to pass. All right, so that means that you're rolling off all the low frequencies. I'm going to see if I have anything that looks like that here. And if it's not there, I would, yeah, see, if you can see my screen, see this curve here, you can see that that's what we call the high pass filter. You've rolled off. If you look at this, it's telling you low cut has been applied to about 144 hertz, and this is a mic for a vocal person. You can see that it was taken out to about 144 hertz. All right, so that's basically what high pass is. Then low pass filter means that you're rolling off the high end. That means you're only allowing the low frequencies to pass, and that's what we call the high cut. That means you are rolling off anything from 20 kHz to about maybe 18 kHz or 10,000 hertz. All right, that's what the low pass filter means. So low pass filter means cutting off the high ends. Yes, you're right. Low pass filter means that you're only allowing the low frequencies to pass. That means you're cutting off the high ends. So Grace, question from Grace. She says, doesn't the vocal EQ change slightly with different vocalists? Yes. The fact that, see, both male and female vocalists, everybody's vocal range is different. But as much as everybody's vocal range is different, nobody has any low frequency coming up from their mouth below anything 60 hertz or 70 hertz in the low frequency. That's, if you look at your mic most of the time, if you don't apply that high pass filter to about 60 or 70, you will still have, that's where you have the rumbles, you have the breeze, the air conditions coming into your mic and feeding back. So you want to, for every mic, every microphone that is being used for a vocal, you want to roll off that low end up to about 60 hertz or 70 hertz. In fact, for female vocalists, roll it up to about 100 to about 120 hertz to give a clearer sound, so that you can actually give room for the main sound. And then one thing again, if you're using a digital board, please watch the frequency. When you play out, when somebody sings, watch where the energy of the frequency is coming out from. The parametric EQ shows you the energy. If you look at this graph here, you can see that these spikes that you're seeing here are the energy frequency, the frequency energy of that particular signal. This will show you that there is nothing coming in at this lower and low frequency. Nothing is coming in from there. So you need to roll it off to get a clearer sound. All right. So I hope you guys are getting this. Okay. Okay. All right. So in this course, I'm not dealing with EQing a keyboard. I'm just trying to tell you what to do with your drums, which is one of the hardest things to EQ in live sound, and also what you do with your vocals, which is also one of the most present sound that people want to hear. So if you want to learn more about EQing, please go and sign up for my live sound starter course, right? How do you EQ a keyboard? I already said that. I'm not doing that. Please, yes, please. I second the keyboard EQ. So looking at a keyboard, you have, okay, let me just do a brief explanation. Looking at a keyboard, you have a bigger spectrum. Most of the time, you don't roll off the low end because the keyboard has low keys and high keys, you get. So you might want to just come and treat wherever you find that it's muddy, and because it's an electrical equipment, ensure that your cables are clean, like they don't have noise. You are using a DI box to connect them, so that you probably can just leave the EQ flat if what you're hearing from your keyboard sounds good. All right, so the major equipment to actually treat when it comes to EQing are always the drums, the vocals, probably your guitars, your bass, and maybe some of your, that's majorly most of the things that you treat with EQ. So the rule is, if it sounds good to you, it's not compulsory that you take out, you EQ them. If it sounds good to you, there's no need to EQ. It probably sounds good in the house, but you have to get accustomed to the basics. Okay, when does the course start? What time will they be running? Okay, so the course, definitely, when the course has started already, but because the beauty about it is because it's an online course, you can actually start at your own pace. So whatever week you start from, just count for week 1, week 2, week 3. So most of the time, right now, we're in the first leg of the course. We're on the 3rd week, and I run the classes majorly Fridays and Saturdays. So you have day 1 and day 2, and you have PDFs that you can go through, you have assignments that you can go through. So if you sign up for this Prime Pass today, you get access to the coaching session like every week. Immediately you finish watching the video for the first week, you can sign up for a coaching session the next week, and we can go over what you don't understand, and you can learn a lot, because I'm going to be expanding more. I can't cover everything in 1 hour or 2 hours that we've been here. I'm going to be expanding more. I want you guys to leave in the comments how this has been helpful to you. Let me know if this was really helpful. Please comment below. Before you guys go, please leave a comment. I want you to leave a comment. You can connect with me on the social streets. Let's connect on the social streets, guys. All right, so for some of you who are still here, you can just show your face. Let me see your face. Take off, so that when next I meet you on the road, or probably we meet, I won't be confused. All right, so you can open up your, guys, you can open up your videos. Let me see you all. All right, hi. Sorry. Some of us are naked. Oh yeah, sorry. Okay. All right, guys. Hi. I hope you guys enjoyed the session. I'm glad that this was really helpful to you guys. So please follow me on Instagram at the Only Febe if you're not following me, on Facebook, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel, because I'll be putting up tutorials. I'll take some of your questions here and see if I can treat them better in tutorials so you guys can see them. But definitely, if you want to learn more, just sign up for my course and you get the course. All right. Okay, so I'll see you guys later. Bye.